Commander Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the Earthship Horizon, her eyes fixed on the swirling purple nebula ahead. After 15 years of studying the mysterious signal from the Carina constellation, humanity was finally ready to make first contact. Signal strength increasing, Commander, Lieutenant Rivera reported from his station. The transmission matches the mathematical sequence we decoded. We're on the right track. Sarah nodded, her short black hair catching the starlight. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, but she could sense their nervous energy. This mission carried the hopes of all humanity, their first chance to prove they were ready to join the galactic community. The Horizon's quantum engines hummed as they pushed through the nebula's outer layers. Preliminary scans had detected massive artificial structures hidden within the cosmic clouds, but nothing could have prepared them for what emerged. A vast city of crystalline spires stretched before them, each structure seemingly grown rather than built. Platforms of impossible size floated effortlessly, connected by streams of energy that flowed like rivers between them. This was the heart of the Asterian Empire, a civilization thousands of years ahead of Earth's. Multiple ships approaching, Security Chief Patel announced. Energy signatures are massive. Each one could probably take out a small planet. Hold position. Sarah commanded. Open all frequencies. Let's show them we came in peace. The Asterian vessels surrounded them in perfect formation. Elegant ships that seemed to bend space itself around them. A transmission burst through their comms in a cascade of mathematical patterns that the ship's AI quickly began decoding. They're requesting permission to send a representative aboard. Communications Officer John reported. They say they've been watching us for centuries, waiting for humans to achieve faster-than-light travel on our own. This was some kind of test. Sarah straightened her uniform. Grant permission. Prepare the diplomatic reception area. She turned to her crew. Remember your training. The future of Earth-alien relations depends on what happens next. The Asterian delegation materialized in their reception hall, tall, ethereal beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their leader, who introduced herself as High Sovereign Lyra, moved with liquid grace. Commander Chen, Lyra spoke in perfect English, her voice carrying harmonic undertones that seemed to resonate with the ship itself. Your species has shown remarkable progress. From stone tools to starships in mere millennia, we have been curious. Sarah met the alien leader's gaze. Humanity is young compared to your civilization, High Sovereign, but we're eager to learn and contribute to the galactic community. Lyra's skin rippled with patterns of blue and gold. Amusement, Sarah would later learn. Contribute? Yes, perhaps. But first, you must prove yourselves worthy of such an honor. Are you prepared for the trials that await? Sarah felt the weight of Earth's future on her shoulders. Their long-range sensors had detected the threats lurking in deep space, threats that humanity couldn't face alone. They needed allies, technology, and knowledge. This was their chance. We're ready, Sarah replied firmly. Humanity has faced countless challenges in our history. We've overcome them through innovation, determination, and our ability to adapt. Whatever trials you have planned, we'll face them. Lyra's expression shifted, her features becoming more serious. Bold words, Commander, but you should know that many species have stood where you stand now. Few have survived what comes next. Are you certain you wish to proceed? The bridge crew tensed, but Sarah didn't hesitate. Humanity didn't cross the stars to turn back at the first sign of danger. We're here to prove ourselves, High Sovereign. Begin your trials. As if in response to her words, the crystal city around them began to shift and change, massive structures rearranging themselves into new configurations. The other Asterian ships moved into attack positions, not threatening, but ready. Very well, Lyra announced. Let the trials of ascension begin. May your species prove as capable as you claim. Her form began to fade. Prepare your ship and crew, Commander Chen. You have one Earth day before we begin. I suggest you use it wisely. After the Asterians departed, Sarah gathered her senior staff. They had 24 hours to prepare for tests that would determine humanity's galactic future. But as she looked at her crew's determined faces, she knew they would rise to the challenge. Humanity had come too far to fail now. Whatever trials awaited them, they would face them together, proving that humans belonged among the stars. The first trial began without warning. Sarah and her crew found themselves transported from the horizon into what appeared to be a massive arena within the Crystal City. The space around them shimmered with holographic displays visible to the thousands of alien spectators who had gathered to witness humanity's test. Interesting, High Sovereign Lyra's voice echoed through the chamber. Most species require recovery time after quantum displacement, yet your vital signs remain stable. Sarah helped Lieutenant Rivera to his feet, noting how quickly her crew adapted to the sudden change. Humans are remarkably resilient, High Sovereign. We've evolved to handle rapid environmental changes. Then let us test that resilience. Lyra's form materialized before them, her iridescent skin now pulsing with deep crimson patterns. Your first trial concerns problem-solving under extreme pressure. Observe. The arena floor split open, revealing a massive alien device that hummed with dangerous energy. Holographic readings indicated it was some kind of reactor, but its design was unlike anything human scientists had ever encountered. This is a failed quantum containment core, Lyra explained. It will reach critical mass in exactly 30 minutes. Your task is simple. Prevent the explosion that would destroy this entire sector of the city. Security Chief Patel moved closer to the device, his handheld scanner working overtime. Commander, the energy readings are off the charts. One wrong move and we won't have to worry about 30 minutes. Sarah studied the reactor's pulsing core. The Asterians were testing not just their technical skills, but their ability to handle unfamiliar technology under deadline pressure. This was exactly the kind of challenge humans excelled at. Zhang, start recording everything. Rivera, get those readings to the ship's AI for analysis. Patel, find us a safe way to access the core systems. Sarah's commands came rapid-fire as she circled the device. They wouldn't give us an impossible task. There has to be a solution. The minutes ticked by as they worked. The reactor's humming grew more intense, and Sarah could feel the disapproving murmurs from the alien audience. They expected failure. They'd seen it before. 20 minutes left. Zhang discovered patterns in the reactor's energy fluctuations that matched ancient Earth mathematics, the Fibonacci sequence hidden in alien technology. 15 minutes. Rivera identified similarities between the containment systems and early human attempts at fusion reactors. It's elegant, Sarah muttered, pieces clicking into place. They built it using universal mathematical principles. Principles we'd recognize. 10 minutes remained when Sarah made her move. Instead of trying to shut down the reactor, which would have been impossible in the time remaining, she ordered her team to modify its containment field. They would use the reactor's own energy to create a feedback loop, forcing it to stabilize itself. That's either brilliant or suicidal, Patel commented as they worked. Either way, pure humanity. With seconds to spare, Sarah initiated their solution. The reactor's dangerous pulsing slowly transformed into a steady hum. The core that had been approaching critical mass now glowed with stable, controlled power. Applause rippled through the arena, not enthusiastic, but surprised. Lyra approached, her skin shifting through patterns of blue and gold once again. Fascinating, the High Sovereign said. You didn't choose the obvious solution of shutdown procedures. Instead, you found a way to transform the problem into an asset. Most unexpected. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When conventional solutions aren't possible, we create new ones. Indeed, Lyra's expression became unreadable. But this was merely the first trial. The next will test more than your technical prowess. It will challenge your species' greatest weakness, your emotions. Before Sarah could respond, the arena shifted again. The reactor vanished, replaced by what appeared to be a vast maze of crystal and shadow. But this time, her crew was nowhere to be seen. "Your people believe your emotions make you strong." Lyra's voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. "Let us see if that strength survives when you face your deepest fears, alone." The maze darkened around Sarah, and she could hear things moving in the shadows. The second trial had begun, and this time, all her technical knowledge and leadership skills might not be enough to save her. She took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. If the Asterians wanted to test human emotions, they'd learn that courage wasn't about being fearless. It was about facing your fears and moving forward anyway. "Ready when you are," Sarah called out to the darkness. Whatever horrors awaited in that maze, she would face them. For her crew, for humanity, for the future they dreamed of among the stars. Sarah emerged from the crystal maze changed. The psychological trials had forced her to confront not just her personal fears, but the deepest anxieties of humanity itself. Obsolescence, irrelevance, extinction. Yet she had persevered, and in doing so, revealed something that surprised even the Asterians. "You adapted," Lyra observed, her skin rippling with patterns Sarah now recognized as fascination. "The maze reshapes itself based on neural responses. Most species become trapped in cycles of their own terror. But you learned from each fear, used it to grow stronger." Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared throughout the Crystal City. The holographic displays surrounding them filled with emergency signals, and the Asterian spectators erupted in confused murmurs. "High Sovereign." An Asterian officer materialized beside Lyra, their skin pulsing with urgent red patterns. "We've detected multiple quantum ruptures at the edge of our space. The Void Hunters have returned." Lyra's composed demeanor cracked for the first time since Sarah had met her. "Impossible. Our defensive grid has been compromised. They've evolved beyond our containment protocols." The holographic displays shifted to show massive dark shapes emerging from tiers in space itself. The vessels, if they could be called that, seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with an organic fluidity that made Sarah's skin crawl. "What are they?" she asked, watching as the alien ships began systematically attacking Asterian outposts. "A mistake," Lyra replied grimly. "One of our earliest attempts at uplifting a species. We gave them advanced technology before they were ready, believing we could guide their evolution. Instead, they turned that knowledge toward conquest and consumption. They destroy civilizations, absorb their technology, and grow stronger." Sarah watched as an Asterian defense platform, easily the size of Earth's moon, was torn apart by the dark ships. "Why are you telling me this? Our trials weren't finished." "Because, Commander Chen, your trials have become irrelevant." Lyra turned to face her, and Sarah saw genuine fear in the High Sovereign's ethereal features. "The Void Hunters have never breached our inner defenses before. Something has changed. They've developed new weapons, new strategies, almost as if they've been studying you." Sarah finished, "Learning your patterns, finding your weaknesses." She paused, an idea forming, just like humans would. Lyra's skin flickered with surprise. "Explain." "Your civilization is incredibly advanced, but it's also predictable. You rely on mathematical precision, on patterns and protocols that have served you for millennia. But that predictability becomes a weakness when facing an adaptive enemy." Sarah gestured to the displays. "Look at their attack pattern. They're not just destroying targets of opportunity. They're systematically dismantling your defense grid, using your own protocols against you." The Asterian officer checked their readings. "She's right, High Sovereign. Their attack sequence, it's exploiting the very harmonics we use to maintain our defensive networks." "Then we must adapt," Lyra declared. "But our society is not built for rapid change. Our strength lies in stability, in the perfection of established patterns." She turned to Sarah. "Yet humans, adaptation is your greatest talent." Sarah straightened, sensing a turning point. "Let us help." Humanity's history is filled with examples of asymmetric warfare, of finding unconventional solutions to overwhelming threats. We may be technologically inferior, but we understand something your people have forgotten. Sometimes chaos can be a strength. The displays showed more Void Hunter ships emerging from quantum ruptures. The Crystal City itself began shifting into a defensive configuration, but Sarah could tell it wouldn't be enough. These enemies had studied Asterian defenses for centuries. They knew exactly what to expect. If we combine your advanced technology with human strategic innovation, Sarah continued, we might have a chance. But you have to trust us, really trust us, not just as subjects of your trials, but as equals. Lyra was silent for a long moment, her skin cycling through complex patterns as she considered. Around them, the sounds of battle grew closer. Finally, she spoke. Perhaps this is the true trial, not one we designed, but one the universe has provided. Very well, Commander Chen. Show us how humanity fights when everything is at stake. Sarah immediately turned to the tactical displays. First, we need to get my ship and crew back. Then I'll need direct access to your defense systems. The Void Hunters want to use your predictability against you. Let's show them what happens when Asterian precision meets human chaos. As the Crystal City shuddered under the first direct attacks, Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. This was no longer about proving humanity's worth through carefully designed trials. This was about survival, innovation, and adaptation. Everything humans did best. The real test was about to begin. The Horizons Bridge had become an unlikely fusion of human and Asterian technology. Crystalline interfaces merged with standard Earth computers, while holographic displays showed the ongoing battle in real time. Sarah stood at the center, coordinating a defense that neither species could have managed alone. Their quantum signatures are shifting again, Lieutenant Rivera called out, working alongside an Asterian scientist. They're trying to adapt to our frequency changes. Then we keep changing, Sarah responded. Random patterns, no predictable sequences. Patel, deploy the modified drone swarms. Thousands of small drones, originally part of the Asterian defense grid, had been reprogrammed with human combat algorithms. Instead of moving in precise formations, they now operated chaotically, each unit making independent decisions based on basic objectives and real-time data. The Void Hunters, expecting the usual coordinated Asterian response, found themselves unable to predict where the next attack would come from. Their perfect counter-strategies became useless against an enemy that didn't follow logical patterns. Fascinating, High Sovereign Lyra observed from her position beside Sarah. Your people's embrace of controlled chaos. It's like nothing we've seen in our millennia of existence. Sometimes the best way to win isn't to be stronger or more advanced, Sarah explained, watching as human tactical innovations merged with Asterian technology. It's to be unpredictable. The battle continued to rage across multiple fronts. The Void Hunters, realizing their carefully planned strategies were failing, began to show signs of frustration. Their attacks became more aggressive but less coordinated. Exactly what Sarah had been waiting for. They're falling for it, she announced. They're abandoning their own protocols, trying to match our unpredictability. But they can't. She turned to Lyra. Your people spent centuries perfecting their systems. The Void Hunters stole that knowledge, but they don't truly understand it. They can copy, but they can't create. Lyra's skin pulsed with understanding. And now they're attempting to copy your chaos, but without the intuitive understanding that makes it effective. Exactly. Zhang, signal the Asterian fleet. Execute Operation Thunderbolt. The combined human Asterian fleet moved into position. The Crystal City's defensive platforms, now operating on randomized frequencies, created a web of unpredictable energy fields. The Void Hunters, trying to adapt to too many changing variables at once, began to make mistakes. Their ships are losing cohesion, Rivera reported. The adaptive algorithms are breaking down. Sarah nodded grimly. They built their whole strategy around countering Asterian precision. When that failed, They tried to copy our tactics instead of developing their own. Now they're caught between two approaches, master of neither. The displays showed Void Hunter ships beginning to retreat, their perfect formations dissolving into chaos. But not the controlled chaos of the human tactics. This was the chaos of a complex system breaking down. Now, Sarah commanded, while they're confused, maximum power to the quantum disruptors. The modified Asterian weapons fired, their energy patterns randomized according to human-designed algorithms. The Void Hunters, their defenses optimized for predictable attack patterns, couldn't adapt fast enough. Ships began to dissolve as their quantum fields collapsed. "It's working," Lyra breathed, her skin glowing with patterns of victory and amazement. Their entire fleet is in retreat. But Sarah wasn't celebrating yet. "We've driven them back, but they'll return. They'll try to adapt to what we did here today." "Let them try," Lyra responded with unexpected ferocity. "Our civilizations working together. We've created something they can't simply copy and corrupt. Something unique." Sarah watched as the last Void Hunter ships disappeared into quantum ruptures. The immediate threat was over, but she knew this was just the beginning. The Asterians had sought to test humanity's worth through controlled trials. Instead, they'd discovered something far more valuable: true allies in an increasingly dangerous galaxy. "High Sovereign," Sarah said, turning to face the Asterian leader. "I believe we have a lot to learn from each other." Lyra's skin rippled with colors Sarah had never seen before, perhaps the Asterian equivalent of hope. "Indeed, Commander Chen. It seems the true trial was not about proving humanity's worth to us, but about discovering how much stronger we could be together." Around them, human crew members and Asterian officers were already working together, analyzing the battle data and suggesting improvements to their combined systems. Two civilizations, separated by vast gulfs of technology and culture, had found common ground in the forge of combat. The next challenge would be building on this foundation, creating a true alliance that could stand against whatever threats the galaxy might hold. But as Sarah watched her crew working seamlessly with their new alien allies, she knew they were ready for whatever came next. The age of isolation was over. The era of human-Asterian cooperation had begun. 3 months after the Battle of the Crystal City, Sarah stood before the combined Council of Earth and Asterian representatives. The Grand Chamber, a perfect blend of human and Asterian architecture, symbolized the unprecedented cooperation between their species. The Void Hunters' retreat was not the end, Sarah explained, gesturing to the holographic display showing the latest intelligence. "But their defeat here has given us something invaluable: time. Time to strengthen our alliance, to learn from each other, and to prepare for their eventual return." The Earth representatives looked almost comically small next to their towering Asterian counterparts, but there was no hint of inequality in their interactions. The battle had proven that advancement wasn't just about technology. It was about perspective, creativity, and the willingness to adapt. "Our latest joint patrol fleets have already made contact with 3 other spacefaring species," High Sovereign Lyra added, her skin shimmering with diplomatic colors. "Species that once feared to approach us, believing they weren't advanced enough. Humanity has shown us that technological progression isn't the only measure of worth." Sarah watched as the display shifted to show the unprecedented changes sweeping through both civilizations. Asterian ships now incorporated human-inspired randomized defense systems. Earth's cities gleamed with crystal spires housing advanced quantum computers. But the most significant changes weren't technological. "The exchange program has exceeded all expectations," Sarah continued. "Human students are learning Asterian quantum mathematics, while the Asterian researchers study human history and military strategy. We're not just sharing technology. We're sharing perspectives, cultures, ways of thinking." The display showed scenes from across both civilizations, human engineers working alongside Asterian architects to design ships that combine the best of both worlds. Asterian scientists learning Earth music and art, fascinated by the emotional resonance they'd once dismissed as primitive. Human medical researchers collaborating with Asterian biologists to unlock new healing possibilities. But perhaps most importantly, Sarah said, her voice carrying through the chamber, we've created something the Void Hunters can't simply copy and corrupt. They can steal technology, but they can't steal the trust we've built. They can't replicate the innovative spirit that comes from true cooperation between different species. Lyra stepped forward, her tall form radiating authority tempered with newfound humility. When we first detected humanity's emergence into space, we planned to test you, to judge whether you were worthy of joining the galactic community. Instead, you taught us that we were the ones who needed to change. The chamber filled with murmurs of agreement from both human and Asterian representatives. The latest reports showed that the combined fleet exercises had produced defense strategies that would have been impossible for either species alone. Human adaptability combined with Asterian precision had created something entirely new. The Void Hunters will return, Sarah acknowledged, facing the Council directly. But when they do, they won't face the same civilizations they fought before. They'll face an alliance that combines Asterian power with human ingenuity, mathematical precision with creative chaos, ancient wisdom with fresh perspective. The holographic display shifted one final time, showing the new joint academy being constructed in Earth orbit, a place where humans and Asterians would train together, learn from each other, and prepare for whatever challenges the galaxy might hold. 3 months ago, we proved that our differences aren't weaknesses. They're strengths, Sarah concluded. The Void Hunters believed they could defeat us by exploiting our separate vulnerabilities. Instead, they united us, forcing both our species to look past our preconceptions and recognize the value in our differences. Lyra's skin rippled with patterns that Sarah had learned to recognize as pride and optimism. The age of isolation is over. The era of cooperation has begun. And together, we will forge a future that neither of our species could have imagined alone. As the chamber erupted in applause, Sarah reflected on how far they'd come. What had started as a tense first contact, followed by trials and combat, had evolved into something revolutionary. A true partnership between different species, each bringing their unique strengths to create something greater than the sum of its parts. The Void Hunters had sought to destroy them by exploiting their differences. Instead, they had inadvertently helped create an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. As Sarah looked out at the assembled representatives of both species, she knew that this was just the beginning. The stars themselves seemed brighter now, full of possibilities that neither humans nor Asterians had dreamed of before. Together, they would face whatever challenges awaited, proving that the greatest strength wasn't in technology or power, but in the ability to learn from each other and grow stronger together. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not by proving their superiority, but by demonstrating the power of adaptation, cooperation, and the willingness to embrace change. The true test had never been about worthiness. It had been about recognizing that every species, every perspective, had something valuable to contribute to the cosmic tapestry. And that was a lesson worth fighting for.